guys, it is the Indy Mayhem Show. Mike Sorg at Sorgatron on the Twitter, video producer, IndyWrestling.us, Sorgatron Media, with our friends at International Wrestling Cartel, Renegade Wrestling Alliance. With me as usual, well, pretty much as usual. It's been a weird schedule lately, but he's back. He's in somewhere in Texas, deep in the heart of, from what I understand, he's Eamon Paton, or if he was in Canada, Paton. At Eamon2 Please on Twitter, the voice of Inspire Pro Wrestling.
One, I've missed you, Sorg. Two, I don't think that's how Canadian speak works.
I think yeah, sure.
Sure, let's go with that. No, I'm excited to be back. I've been waiting so long to get to talk about indie wrestling, and I don't finally get to, and I'm excited. Yay.
We have so much to say. This
so
week,
much.
You can check out everything, of course, at WrestlingMayhemShow.com. Subscribe to the Indie Mayhem Show and all the other fine program we have over there. And also, you can drop us a line at 412-206-WMS0 or good times at WrestlingMayhemShow.com. This week, we got a great interview with somebody that's been making waves in the International Wrestling Cartel. He will be, of course, as of this recording, this weekend at Caged Fury 2016, taking on another friend of the show, Jimmy DeMarco. It's going to be a vicious one between that and other things we'll be talking about later in the episode. His name is Wardlow, and we had a great conversation with him recently. Check it out. Hey, guys, on the line with us now, he's one of the guys that's been tearing up. I know I've seen here in the International Wrestling Cartel in the Pittsburgh area. On the line with us right now is Wardlow. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing great every day. How are you?
All right. So, like I said, you've been around IWC for a little bit, but we like to kind of roll it back a little bit and let people know, what was your first kind of memory? What was the thing that kind of hooked you for wrestling in general?
My first memories of wrestling?
Yeah.
My first memories of wrestling go back to the days of the best of all time. The days of Bret the Hitman Hart, Macho Man, Hulk Hogan, Shawn Michaels, Heartbreak Kid. The one event that really stands out for me was WrestleMania at Caesar's Palace. I don't know if you remember that one with Bret the Hitman Hart versus Yokozuna in the main event.
Oh, nice.
Shows like that really hooked me to it.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And so obviously you've been a long-time fan here. What kind of made you kind of transition to think, hey, maybe I want to get into the ring?
To be 100% honest, I've thought that my entire life. I always knew I wanted to get into the ring. I mean, ever since probably elementary school.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And how did you finally determine, how did you find out, find a school and that kind of stuff?
To be 100% honest, I searched and searched for a school and I couldn't find anything even close to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I just so happened to be at a Monday Night Raw in Cleveland at the Q. And I was in the bathroom and I see a promo card for an indie wrestling event. And on the back of the card, it said, "Come train at the Dungeon." And I took that card and I called them and found out that there was a training school in Cleveland about an hour away from me. And I finally started training.
Awesome. When you got into it, was there a lot of surprises for you about what really went into it?
Honestly, not really. I mean, I've been so involved with wrestling, not necessarily hands-on, obviously, but just my years of watching it. And, I kind of started training myself in my own backyard, even as a young kid when the first season of Tough Enough came out. And for the first time, you got to see how to take bumps, and how to properly do things. And I remember watching Tough Enough and bringing the mattress out into the living room and teaching myself how to do bumps just how they were on TV.
That's awesome.
So for the most part, I was well prepared for it and kind of knew what I was getting myself into.
Great. And like I said, mostly I know you here for International Wrestling Cartel. You've been around for, probably about 2 years, I think, if I recall correctly.
Correct. Yeah, it's been about a year and a half.
Awesome. And of course, right now you're paired with somebody like a Justin LaBar, who's been a really interesting mouthpiece. And actually, when we mentioned this interview, he says all questions go through him. But we don't exactly have the LaBar stamp of approval here today. But what is it like working with that group and especially somebody like Justin LaBar?
Justin LaBar is phenomenal. He's an amazing mind in the wrestling business, and I think anybody that's able to work with him, be paired with him, is lucky. And I think us together, we could go all the way to the top with it.
Awesome. And you're also like one of the more imposing figures in the roster. Of course, indie wrestling, there's a lot of the kind of guys that get showcased on, like, say, a Cruiserweight Classic today on WWE. Do you find, you're one of the bigger, more, WWE looking guys out there? Does that tend to help you stick out when you're out on these shows?
I think I stick out more than anybody on any show. Mm-hmm. Not only do I have the look, not only do I have the size, but as people are starting to see, I can do anything a cruiserweight can do as well. Mm-hmm. And that's what separates me from everybody. I can throw you through the air or I can fly through the air. It just depends on what mood I'm in.
It was actually a great image. I know you're using it for your cover photo of you doing, I believe that ended up being a swanton coming off the top rope onto Bulk Nasty.
It indeed is.
So, and certainly you're somebody that I've seen have some tremendous matches over the years, especially I remember ones with Jimmy Nuts, who I know is currently on the shelf with an injury, of course. I think you guys out in White Oak had some really, really good stuff. And I think when people see, a larger guy on the indie show, they say, well, this isn't going to be a good wrestling match per se, right? They expect you're just going to go out there and kind of clobber people and that's about it, right? So do you think you've done very well with really kind of raising those expectations of what they can see from you then?
What was that last part?
Do you really think that you've kind of raised those expectations of what you can get out of a big guy like you on the indies?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I plan on raising every expectation, raising every bar, and I plan on putting out phenomenal matches. Mm-hmm. When people leave, I want them to remember me as a wrestler that they've never seen nothing like before.
Awesome. As long as you've been wrestling, like what are kind of the highlights for you of opponents that you've had over this time?
Obviously my biggest highlight was my most recent match. I defeated TNA superstar Robbie E. He's most definitely been the biggest name that I've wrestled thus far. And, I got the victory over him. Another memory was stepping in the ring with John McChesney. I know he's been around for a long time, and I hate to admit it, but nobody's ever lit my chest up like he did with some chops. So I got no choice but to remember that.
Well, he did learn those from Low Key after all those years of turning his chest into a ground meat. So I think he's only from the best as far as the chops go.
Yeah, apparently.
I have to ask you because I'm going through a little bit of your Twitter feed and I'm getting some recollections here of IWC's Wipeout, this last show where you took on Robbie E. I have to ask, there's a lot of twerking celebrating going on in your latest faction with the IWC, with Raelyn and even Justin LaBar getting in on the act. Are you a fan of the twerking?
You see, what they didn't get on camera, I can twerk my chest muscles. I'm not into twerking anything else, but I can do that.
There you go. I'll make sure that our ringside guy gets a shot at that next time for you.
Perfect.
All right. From there, I have to ask: are you watching anything outside? What's kind of got your attention these days? Anything you're studying up on, whether it's recent or kind of in the past? Are you reliving the toga party of WrestleMania 9 with Yokozuna and Bret Hart, for instance, these days?
Every once in a while, I do love to go back and look at early '90s wrestling, just because those are all my memories as a kid, and the characters back then were so loud and so larger than life. So I love going back and watching the early stuff. I really enjoy anything from '98 to 2000, which who doesn't? Mm-hmm. That was the best era in wrestling. But to be 100% honest, nowadays, I really don't have time to watch anything because all I do is work my ass off. But I recently just started catching up on the current Raw and SmackDown products. And I got to say, it is a good time to be a professional wrestling fan.
Awesome. A lot of options out there, especially even from WWE. It's pretty incredible right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So, like I say, you've been at this for a little bit. Tell me, what's the and people take this a lot of different ways, and however you want to interpret this. But we like to ask, what's the best thing and the worst thing about being in independent wrestling up to this point for you?
The best thing and the worst thing?
Yeah.
The best thing is being able to do what you love, no matter what kind of scale it's on. It doesn't matter if there's 1 million people in the crowd. It doesn't matter if there's 5 people in the crowd. You know, I get to go out there and do what I love. And I don't do it for anybody but myself. I don't do it to entertain anybody but myself. You know, and then I think everybody would agree with me. The worst thing for most people is the pay. You know, you're traveling around and doing what you love, and, you know, you ain't getting much in return. Fortunately, I'm on Team LaBar, and we're Team Money, so I make a little more money than anybody else, I think, in the indies. But for the most part, that's the rough part, traveling around, you know, praying to sell some merchandise to make $1 to get you to the next show.
Certainly. Well, you know, where can people find out where the Wardlow is coming?
Well, I will be at every IWC event raising hell every single month. There's no question about that. I am starting to venture out a little bit, and I believe I am going to start working a little closer to home here in Cleveland soon. I don't know all the details quite yet. Joe Dombrowski has contacted me about working with me, so looks like in September, as long as everything goes as planned, September I'll be people will finally be able to watch me in Cleveland do my thing. And then hopefully from there, I'll really start venturing out and working for different promotions and starting to travel a little more.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me a follow up question to that. Like, you've mostly worked with just the IWC for a good while. Is that correct?
Correct.
Was that like a focus on things, or just kind of scheduling?
Yeah, it was. I was doing ARW and IWC. ARW is no longer around, so I kind of stuck with IWC. Unfortunately, my scheduling is rough, and I do a lot of work outside of professional wrestling as well. Because I'm all about making money. So I do everything I can to make that money. And like I said, the indie wrestling scene, you can only make so much, so I got to do what I got to do. But, I'm not, so IWC had my full focus, and I wanted to give that company my full focus because I truly believe that company gives me very unique opportunities, and I wouldn't want to risk losing an opportunity there because I'm somewhere else. However, like I said, I do plan on starting to expand.
Awesome. And it's been great to see your growth here over the last couple of years. Wardlow, go check him out, especially in the Pittsburgh, Cleveland areas. If you see him on the card, definitely one not to disappoint. Wardlow_1 on the Twitter. Thank you so much for joining us today. Indy Mayhem show, of course. Eamon, you are involved in Inspire Pro Wrestling down there in Texas, in Austin, Texas, who just recently had a SmackDown that was interesting. But just tonight, as of this recording, right? But you did have Inspire Pro, and I know, judging by the interesting questions you've been asking me on Facebook, it sounds like it was a pretty curious show. So how'd it go?
It was really fun. First show back in a little while for Inspire Pro Wrestling. We were on a slight hiatus, getting stuff sort of recouped and stuff like that. Finding a new venue in particular being the thing. And we have a new venue, and it was the Red Oak Ballroom in Austin, Texas. This place was beautiful. The first time I got to really see it, as like walking in and seeing it, was this past Sunday. And when I walked into the building, I was like, this is awesome. This is going to be really, really cool. It's a really awesome, swanky place. Like, it just adds like a really great vibe to our shows, and I'm so excited to continue doing more shows there, because it's going to be, I think, just a perfect venue for us, and really add to what we're trying to put out there for Inspire Pro. Yeah, it was really fun. It's been a long time since I got to work. Obviously now it's since April, so it's been really cool getting to get back at it, particularly with a brand new tag partner, commentary partner, that being Alex Del Barrio, who is the former Alex Reyes from NXT. He is awesome. He is unbelievably awesome. I can't say enough good things about him. He was a real pleasure to work with. I can't wait to kind of pick his brain more and learn more from him. And he's got so much knowledge, not just from his time wrestling, but just so much other places that he's worked. And I can't wait to just work with him more and gel on that level. And he's got such a professional voice, and yeah, he was awesome to work with. Real pleasure. I can't say enough good things about Alex. Really good to have him on board here in Inspire Pro. But yeah, it was a really stacked card. Or go ahead, Sorg.
Oh no, that was all you. Go for it.
Oh, sorry, I thought you said something. But yeah, really stacked card. A lot of really cool matches. It was also great getting to meet Matt Cross and Lindsay Dorado, who came in, who wrestled for us. I get to talk to those guys extensively. Really great guys. Glad that they're getting the success they are getting. I'm sort of two ends of the spectrum of sorts. Matt in Lucha Underground and Lindsay in the Cruiserweight Classic. Really great getting to work with them. We also talked a bit on the Wrestling Mayhem show. We mentioned Delilah Doom, who was on Monday Night Raw this week, taking on Nia Jax. Got to see a really cool kind of moment with her and Angela Slane, their year-long feud, kind of almost coming full circle and developing a friendship, it seems. And that was a really cool kind of moment. We had fans literally crying in the front row at this moment, which is a cool feat that you can achieve as a wrestling promotion. That's always really cool. And we got a lot of stuff built up towards our next event, which is going to be September 25th. Back at the Red Oak Ballroom for Fade to Black 2. That's going to be really, really fun. Ray Rose is going to be back for us. We got the big match that everyone's been waiting for between Ricky Starks and Keith Lee to determine who is the top champion in Inspire Pro Wrestling. Mia Yim's going to be making her return, Jade from TNA, to take on Jessica James. There's so much fun stuff that's going to be happening. And that's just what we've announced so far. There's so much more stuff that's in the line, in the pipe work. And we cannot wait to announce it. This is going to be probably one of our more stacked events. And you can check out that at InspireProWrestling.com. We'll be rolling out stuff for that. And get tickets. Front row is already sold out, even over a month away. But there's still plenty of great GA tickets left, so go get those.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think that's a little bit of a conversation we can get into as well. Of course, the Light of the Doom you mentioned on Raw. I don't think we've had a show, this show, since we saw Britt Baker here in Pittsburgh, also taking on Nia Jax. So very interesting that two friends of the Indy Mayhem show were involved in that way. And great to see two girls that are just very short in their careers getting those opportunities too.
Yeah, but I would say two girls, and I know personally from working with Delilah, but I can tell almost with Britt as well, and I'm assuming you can attest to it, who work very, very hard for being so young in the business. And it's cool to see them get opportunities like that. I mean, people, say, oh, it's a squash match, but it's a chance to really show, to get your name out there, to get your face out there. And it's always cool to see peers like that kind of get opportunities. It was really kind of oh my God, like that person who is, I work with, every month, getting to do something they've wanted to do for a long time. So it's always really good.
Or standing in the stands and saying, I know her.
Yeah, I know that person.
I know that person in the ring. Everybody is paying to look at right now. Yeah, that's a pretty cool feeling. So. And of course, for me, I was coming out. I don't think. We haven't even talked about this. I was coming off the Gathering of the Juggalos, where I saw her there with the Girl Fight promotion being featured, and then that night she was at IWC's Wipeout in a mixed tag match that I got to edit on Monday. And I think I had probably just edited that on that Monday, and then went to Raw and saw her in the ring. So I'm like, and I'm like, I recognize this ring gear, very familiar to me for some reason. Oh yeah, so she had a hell of a weekend there a couple weeks ago. So that's really cool to see. And you were mentioning that you of course, being in Texas, there's a lot of familiar faces that pop up across WWE for you. And this has been the case. We've had Ricky Starks we had on after he was getting slammed through a table with Ryback, for instance, right? And security, yes. and all kinds of interesting spots he's been in. So I know for you can't wait because you just play the Where's Waldo with people you've worked with at that point.
Yeah, and then speaking of Ricky Starks, if you tune into the main event this week, our Inspire Pro champion apparently is going one-on-one with Kane. Which will be fun. I believe Moonshine Mantel, who we've had on the show as well, was Heath Slater's doctor backstage on SmackDown. Yeah, a lot of cool stuff. Security guard people and stuff like that happen too, and it's always real fun to see because like being people. I'm sure on a fan side as well, but being able to work with those people and be like, oh, I recognize them. I recognize that guy. Like it's always real nice. Right. Yeah. I'm glad. It's a benefit also of the brand split is that we get more of these jobber matches, so it's like more opportunities to see these kind of people.
Absolutely, and even that it's coming on main event as well. That's pretty cool to see. I mean, that's a place where it should happen, right? Because just like the superstars in the wrestling challenges back in the day. So yeah, definitely a lot of really cool opportunities there. Well, of course, we talked to Wardlow here early. A great talk with him. So thank you for him for being on. He will be featured this weekend at International Wrestling Cartel's Caged Fury. This is an event last year that was actually that's the poster right behind me here in the studio because it's one of the cooler looking posters and I love it because it is like Tommy Dreamer and Rhino in a cage for the IWC title and everything, right? And they had another kind of War Games kind of match too with a lot of friends of the show like Darren De Niro and Joe Rosa. But I think this is always a big show. It's they always have some great moments in the cage. There's been a lot over the years. It's been a really fun show. And this year is going to be no difference. Of course, the main event, I'm looking forward to this, and this has been a pretty good. They had a great killer match at Super Indy actually, and then Dylan Bostic at Wipeout this past month too. DJZ, Zima Zion, Shima Zion, however you may know him from TNA, taking on Dylan Bostic. It's a cage match for the title, and loser leaves IWC. I thought was an interesting twist that they threw in there this week. But aside from that, some other great stuff, of course, also Steel Cage, friends of the show, Chris Larusso, who's made some appearances on Ring of Honor recently against Andrew Palace. The rematch from the end of Super Indy, the much lauded Super Indy this year that ended with Jonathan Grisham against Josh Alexander, the current Super Indy champion. Josh Alexander is going to be his first match defending the belt, actually, on this show. That's just see them go at it again is going to be amazing. And I'm actually going to be there for this one, too. So looking forward to that, as well as Raelyn versus Luffisto. Luffisto. Nice. Eamon, why should I be excited for Luffisto?
Luffisto is pretty awesome. She was kind of she's she's technically Canadian, but also bills herself from Japan. She's kind of like almost an El Generico in a sense. But like she's been doing this for a long period of time. She was kind of the first person to really kind of break out doing gender wrestling and being. She was a mainstay of CZW at the time. Really kind of and she's not just hardcore wrestler, but very talented pro wrestler. And I'm interested to see that match because it's two different sides of the spectrum with Luffisto and Raelyn. So that should be exciting.
Awesome. And of course, great tag action. The Fraternity, a very entertaining group. I guess one I haven't heard about, EYFBO, which I think are also from maybe north of the border. And
I think they're from like the New England area, if I'm not mistaken. I know they've worked Beyond Wrestling in the past.
Okay.
Yeah.
So always good to see some new blood because it's always hey, let's see if they stick out. Especially IWC probably doesn't have. I mean, it's not ECW or anything, but it's probably not the easiest crowd to impress. I mean, it's super indie. It's a very indie kind of crowd, right?
Right.
So that'll be interesting. And of course, great to see some familiar faces: Bronco McBride, Marshall Gambino, Remy LeVay, Keith Hott, and the return of Jack Sheridan, a guy that made his debut back at Proving Grounds a few months ago. So aside from that, I also look forward because apparently the artwork for the next show is Pokemon themed. They better do more than just have fancy artwork for it. It better be.
Because of course it is.
I hope that the venue has been checked out as a Pokestop.
Well, in fairness, I don't think, and we'll definitely go into it more in the coming weeks when it gets closer. But because Sorg, you mentioned you're going to be, I believe you're going to King of Trios this year,
right?
And they're Pokemon themed this year,
which is amazing.
To the degree that their fan conclave is now a Pokemon Go meet and greet.
Yep,
which is perfect.
Yep, and with the crew that's going, it's the perfect thing for us.
Yeah. So I embrace that kind of stuff. It's always good.
Well, maybe we'll bring some ideas back with us. I don't know. But anyways, check that out, IWCWrestling.com. If you're in the Pittsburgh area, it's one definitely worth checking out. Get tickets over there. And, of course, they'll be available afterwards on IndyWrestling.us. Mere days after the event, one way or another, we'll make it happen. Little longer turnaround than we had before. I've made a decision. I'm going with this for the time being. We are no longer live switching shows.
Oh, okay.
I mean, this has partly been because of my schedule. I actually have not attended an IWC show since April. So And RWA, I just had my first one back probably since about April or March. Yeah, actually, that's right. Actually, I hadn't been to the RWA since March, and we just came back there at the end of July. Partly because of that kind of stuff, and partly because we had changed and upgraded some stuff for HD, and I wasn't terribly happy with the quality that we were doing, and the stuff for us to do it right was going to be prohibitively expensive. And we know we're on indie wrestling budget, right?
We don't have a lot of money.
Yeah, that's the case. So and it didn't work for how indie wrestling needed to be filmed. So we've gone to post editing. But, partly because we needed to, because again, I'm not there to do the switching. We don't have anybody to replace and set it up and learn how to do that kind of stuff. So I was like, okay, we will just post edit these. I am so happy with the quality. Like, you don't like. I personally have not liked the quality of several shows that we've done. I mean, over the years, there's been stuff where like, man, we didn't get the lighting right. Man, we didn't do this. But it's stuff that you can't really fix in post because you did it live, right? Which defeats the purpose of doing it live if you have to go back and re-edit the entire thing, right? So we've been doing that. I have a little bit more control over things, and I can say hands down, I have never been more happy than I am with how IWC Wipeout, RWA's last two shows, I think, and Super Indy especially. Like, I will put that on the shelf with anything else that I've done. It is. I feel real good about those products. Rob and Chachi have been killing it on the camera work. And it's been pulling together really nice, and I hope that people have been enjoying it. I've gotten some decent feedback, just from reviews, just from just people that have bought the shows on IndyWrestling.us, and I hope it's something that people notice, and I hope something that we can keep up here as we go and we grow, and as IndyWrestling.us has met its 1 year anniversary this month, so of course we have a sale going on over there. You guys can read about over IndyWrestling.us, and I feel real good that we've kind of. I'm looking at the orders that come in, and I think we're able to get in front of a lot more eyeballs than we did before when we were just doing DVDs when I took over back in 2012. The experiment is working. And it's only going to grow. And we got a lot of really cool opportunities to get more cool stuff out there, to grow the guys that we first started helping, RWA and IWC, of course, and of course our friends, Joe Dabrowski and VOW and of course Border City Wrestling's a part of it, with a couple of shows and some piecemeal stuff like that. Of course, the DBI, of course, is a part of it too. At least the first 3 years of it. So, I mean, we got a really nice catalog, and I hope that it's something that people enjoy. So, and I think the biggest accomplishment is we're also part of the conversation. Matt Carlins, I have to give a lot of credit to, because he did the Around the Indies and a column here for last. I forget when we started it, but I want this to be more than just a store. For us to shill our stuff. Right. Obviously, we do this show where it's us talking about what we're doing. You're part of Inspire Wrestling. We're talking about that all the time. You're not even part of the site, right? Your stuff's all at SmartMark, and a lot of the stuff that we're pointing out is at SmartMark too. We're not a replacement for SmartMark. We can't be.
Right.
I mean, the SmartMark's been doing this for longer than anybody. High Spots has been doing this for longer than anybody. We're partnered with them on certain stuff, and I think we're hopefully carving our own niche over here away from them that can coexist and everything like that. But I just wanted, this started because I wanted a great positive place to support indie wrestling and maybe give opportunities for some indie wrestling to get out there that maybe some others wouldn't take. It is actually kind of funny because since I started this, now those other places take the indie wrestling that we have. So that's pretty cool too. So yeah, I just want it to be a place, and hopefully we'll have some other opportunities to grow that and grow the community, and much like we have with Wrestling Mayhem Show, and again, just be a nice, awesome, positive place to talk about indie wrestling. and share and find out more about indie wrestling and explore it a bit too. So thank you everybody that has supported with listening to the shows, reading the columns, sharing a link, whatever the case may be, and certainly the people that have written for us, and you, Eamon, for getting the word out too, and being part of this show too. That's really kind of become intermingled kind of craziness. So it's been real fun.
Absolutely. It's been a good year.
It's only getting bigger. We're in the third year of Indie Mayhem Show. Indie Wrestling.
Oh, God.
Yeah, think about that.
That's weird to think.
And only now have we had scheduling problems. Think about that.
Yes.
Only now have we had gaps in the schedule and had problems getting people attached and everything like that. It took us 3 years, 2.5 years, to run out of steam on this thing. And I don't want to say that we've run out of steam. Obviously, you have some stuff going on. You're moving around. You're dealing with school and stuff, and everybody else's schedule. I'm going God knows where these days, and it all kind of compounded, and we kind of lost the cadence of the show. But we're working on some things to bring it back. SmackDown Live doesn't help either.
Not at all.
So, but we're gonna keep going, and it's I'm hoping we can get back to every week. You will have a show next week, I believe. We have another one. We have an interview in the can with Connor Claxton of CZW fan, the guy with the wrench, Vicious Outcast Wrestling. I'm looking forward to that. We'll get some more Eamon's friends in here too.
Absolutely.
I have some ideas of people to call up and say, hey, you want to... Actually, I got some requests out right now that I'm waiting to schedule. Some people that have been far overdue to be a part of this show. That I think we'll have great conversations. Guys that I don't think you've heard of, but I think you'll instantly love when you have a conversation with them. So, Eamon, where can people find you and that beautiful singing voice of yours laid over pro wrestling?
You can find me on Twitter at Eamon2Please, but you can also check out Inspire Pro Wrestling on Twitter at InspireProRes, and over at InspireProWrestling.com for all of our show information and whatnot. Also, I want to note, go subscribe to us over at YouTube.com/InspireProVideo, because as of today, as we're recording this, we just put up a match featuring now WWE Raw featured enhancement talent Delilah Doom and Angelus Lane in a San Dimas street fight from back last year. It is one of the most wild matches you will ever see, and you can see it entirely for free over on our YouTube channel. Go check it out.
When we first talked to her, wasn't she like 3 matches into her career?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I feel like Britt wasn't too far in. Like, it was like about the same spot. That's amazing. That's awesome. You need to get Britt back on and talk to her about that experience.
Absolutely. We'll have to get her and Delilah on to compare working Nia Jax.
Yeah, we'll get them both on. So how hard did Nia punch you in the face? Yeah, exactly. Nia Jax, I'm becoming a big fan of her as well. So, at Sorgatron, if you want to ask me about video production, pro wrestling, whatever the case may be, of course, you can hit us up as usual about wrestling-related things at goodtimes@wrestlingmayhemshow.com or the hotline 412-206-WMS0 at Mayhem Show on the Twitter. Wrestling Mayhem Show is the Facebook group and the Facebook page. Thank you so much for joining us. Check out IndyWrestling.us if I haven't talked about it enough this episode, and our friends all over. And please remember, support Indie Wrestling.
You know how I act now. If you got a problem, come and see if I'm a back down. Act wild, steady sipping Jack now.
Show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com.